Sylgrin Shadowfolio. The parchment felt damp and alive in Sylgrin's hands, its edges furred with green moss. The words, written in a bioluminescent fungal ink, glowed with a soft, urgent light. It was a summons from the Canopy Council, a plea wrapped in desperation. The heartspore, the ancient moss that regulated the city's very atmosphere, was failing. Its decay would mood the suffocation of the entire megacity. Sylgrin Shadowfolio, archivist of the Forgotten, looked from the crumbling spires of his library tower to the fading green pulse in the distance. He placed a hand on the cool, living stone of his desk. "Okay," he whispered to the empty air, the words swallowed by the hum of the city. "I'll find your answers." The quest was not accepted with a shout, but with a sigh that carried the weight of 1,000 lifetimes of moss. The pneumatic vein was clogged. A major artery of the city choked with a strange blackened lichen. Sylgrin's glider, a delicate thing of woven fungal threads, shuddered and threatened to stall in the thick, stale air. Below, the faint, desperate clicks of a maintenance crew echoed from a service ledge. Their tools were useless against the aggressive growth. Sylgrin landed roughly, his boots slipping on the slimy surface. He ignored the panicked warnings, his mind already in the archives. He recalled a treatise on parasitic symbiosis. From his satchel, he produced a vial of powdered copperwort. Not a weapon, but a catalyst. He scattered the powder onto the black lichen. It recoiled, its dark color bleaching to a harmless gray as the copperwort encouraged a rival, beneficial fungus to consume it. The vein shuddered, then hummed to life, air whistling clean once more. The crew stared in silence. Resolve wasn't about force, it was about knowing which spore to plant. The world unfolded like a fungal map, layers upon layers. In the bustling spore market of mid-city, he found AIart, a sharp-tongued trader in rare mycelial circuits who owed him a favor. She became his guide through the black market data streams, her fingers flying across a console grown from a petrified mushroom cap. "The decay's artificial, Syl," she said, her screen blooming with corrupted data flowers. "Engineered." And then there was KL, a charismatic envoy from the upper canopy, all polished Keaton armor and 2 white smiles. He offered official channels, council support, but his eyes lingered a little too long on Sylgrin's satchel, on the ancient knowledge it contained. The city was no longer just a place, it was a network of allies with hidden agendas and rivals disguised as friends, all breathing the same thinning air. The revelation came not with a bang, but with an access code quietly granted. Cal had provided clearance to the core arboretum, the sanctum where the heartspore thrived. But the sanctum was empty, its energy conduits cold. The real heartspore wasn't here, it was a myth for the masses. The true source was a humble, sprawling mycelial network deep in the foundational ruins, a secret Sylgrin's own order was sworn to protect. And Cal knew. He wasn't trying to save the city, he was using the crisis to loot its ultimate secret, to unearth the true heartspore and sell its generative properties to the highest bidder. The goal shifted instantly. This was no longer a mission of restoration, it was a race against a thief who knew exactly what he was stealing. Sylgrin stood at the edge of the foundational abyss, the air thick with the smell of death and damp. He was too late. Kael's extraction team had scorched the area, severing the primordial mycelial threads with thermal charges. The ancient network was dying, its soft connecting light flickering and dying out piece by piece. The city's gentle hum faded into a deepening silence. Above, the macroalgae in the ventilation towers began to wither, casting long, sickly shadows. Ilara's frantic voice crackled over his comm. "Syl, oxygen levels, they're crashing. People are passing out in the streets." He had failed. The weight of the entire megacity pressed down on him, its last breaths his own. All was lost in the quiet, crushing dark. On his knees, his hands sinking into the ashen, dying moss, Sylgrin felt it. A faint, stubborn pulse. Not from the network itself, but from the memory within it. The archives hadn't just been stored, they'd been absorbed. The knowledge of his predecessors wasn't lost, it was encoded in the very spores that now dusted his fingers. The mission wasn't to restart what was killed, it was to plant something new. The revelation was a jolt. The true heart spore wasn't a thing to be found, but a process to be begun. It needed a catalyst, a living archive to serve as its seed. KL had stolen a corpse. Sylgrin could grow a successor. He found KL at the extraction point, the stolen core of the mycelial network glowing ominously in a containment unit. "You're too late, Archivist." KL smirked, his weapon raised. "I have the prize." "You have a relic," Sylgrin corrected, his voice calm. He didn't reach for a weapon. He opened his satchel and scattered its contents, every scroll, every spore sample, every page of his life's work, onto the scorched earth between them. Then he pricked his finger, letting a single drop of blood fall onto the knowledge-rich compost. "The prize is a future." The ground erupted. New, vibrant moss exploded into life, a wave of green that consumed the containment unit, shorting it out. It wasn't a fight of force, but one of growth. The stakes weren't about possession, but about what world would be allowed to live. Sylgrin returned to a city breathing easier, the air tinged with the fresh electric scent of new moss. The Canopy Council held him a hero, but he retreated to his tower, which was now greener, livelier, its stones whispering with new knowledge. He was no longer just Sylgrin Shadowfolio Archivist. He was the keeper of the seed, the living library. The door to the old ways was closed, but 1,000 new doors had opened, each leading to a future still being written. He looked out at the mega-city, now pulsing with a healthier, wilder green, and knew the work had only just begun. The next page was theirs to write.